What's up, my peoples? Sorry I've been gone for a week. It's been busy. School starting. I switched into another philosophy class, Greek philosophy, which is what I'm gonna be reading today. But that also meant I was 2 weeks behind on everything in that class. So I did a bunch of philosophy reading over the weekend. Sorry I didn't record it. I had to go quick. Haven't really been feeling an ASMR video, but I'm back. Um, what am I? Oh, okay. So today we're gonna be reading Zeno of Elea, basically a pre-Socratic Greek philosopher. The last one I'm reading in this class before the Republic. Um, there's not any real whole written works by him, so we're just reading fragments, which is what I've been reading. Hopefully, it's interesting. Um, I don't know how much of it I'm gonna read. It's only 500 pages, but um, I don't really like making super long videos. I'm also trying a new thing out where I get to listen to music while I record this video. It's great. You guys probably can't hear, and I love having background music and everything. I don't know if that's a weird thing to do, but some people say they can't multitask with music playing. That's the whole point of music, though. Anyways, we're reading Zeno of Elea. So here's a little introduction about him. Almost everything we think we know about the life of Zeno of Elea comes from Plato's dialogue Parmenides. According to Plato, Zeno was about 25 years younger than Parmenides, and was reported to have been his lover as well as his philosophical associate. Oh, that's cool. If Plato's claims are accepted, Zeno was born around 490 BCE, and he and Parmenides visited Athens in about 450 when Socrates was a young man. When Socrates. Sorry. My pronunciation of words is terrible. Growing up, I read a lot, but didn't say it out loud, so I just assumed what I came up with was right, and that went for a lot of things. And these are also weird names, so apologies for inevitably pronouncing them wrong. Anyways, it is quite unlikely that the conversation Plato reports took place, but the chronological information from Plato may be based on fact. The only other biographical claims about Zeno come from Diogenes Laertius's not entirely reliable Lives of the Philosophers. According to Diogenes Laertius, I feel like we don't need his last name. Maybe we do. Zeno bravely resisted a political tyranny, and despite being tortured, did not betray his comrades. Zeno sounds like a baller. Zeno explores the consequences of Parmenides' claims about what is. In his ingenious arguments, he purports to show that neither plurality nor motion is compatible with Parmenides' requirements for reality. Zeno challenges the seemingly incontrovertible evidence of our senses, and his arguments have worried and fascinated philosophers from ancient times to the present. So that is Zeno. This first reading from Socrates. Once Parmenides and Zeno came to Athens for the great Panathenaic festival. Parmenides was quite an elderly man, very grey, but fine and noble in appearance, just about 65 years old. Sorry, it's the roommates. Zeno was then almost 40, of a good height and handsome to see. The story goes that he had been Parmenides' young lover. Socrates and many others were eager to listen to Zeno's treatise, for he had then brought it to Athens for the first time. Socrates was then very young. Zeno himself read it to them. When Socrates had heard it, he asked Zeno to read again the first hypothesis of the first argument. When he had read it, he said, "How do you mean this, Zeno? If things that are many, they must therefore be both like and unlike. But this is impossible, for unlike things cannot be like, nor can like things be unlike. Isn't that what you are saying? Things that are many. They must therefore be both like and unlike, but this is impossible. Zeno, yes. Socrates, now, if it is impossible for unlike things to be like and for like things to be unlike, it is also impossible for things to be many. But if they were many, they would have impossible attributes. Is this the point of your argument? To contend against all that is said, that things are not many. And do you think that each of your arguments proves this? Okay. So if things are many, if things that are many, they can be composed of many different things and be several different things at the same time. So therefore, they must be like and unlike to each other, which is impossible. To contend against that. So things are not many. So, and do you think that each argument proves this? Zeno, you have well understood the purpose of the whole work. Socrates, I understand, Parmenides, that Zeno here wants to be identified with you by his treatise as well as his friendship, for he has written somewhat in the same style as you, but by changing it he is trying to make us think he is saying something else. For in your poem, you declared that all is one, and you did a good job of proving this, while he declares that it is not many, and furnishes many impressive proofs. Now, when one of you says it is one, the other says it is not many, and each speaks so as to seem not to have said any of the same things, though you are saying practically the same things. What you have said appears beyond the rest of us. Speak so complicatingly. Sorry, I'm trying to decipher this. Maybe I should just read and go back afterward to decipher. This is my homework, so I gotta pay attention. Zeno. Yes, Socrates. We have not completely understood the truth of the treatise. It is actually a defense of Parmenides' argument against those who try to make fun of it, saying that if what is one, the argument has many ridiculous consequences which contradict it. Now my treatise opposes the advocates of plurality, and pays them back the same and more, aiming to prove that their hypothesis, if there are many things, suffers still more ridiculous consequences than the hypothesis that there is one, if anyone follows it through sufficiently. I wrote it in this spirit of competitiveness when I was young, and then someone stole it, so I did not even have the chance to consider whether it should be made public. Second excerpt. Zeno stated that if anyone could make clear to him what the one is, he would be able to speak of the things that are. Yeah? What is the one? Excerpt 3. For it should be added to something else that exists. For if it should be added to something else that exists, it would not make it any larger. For if it were of no size, and were added, nothing it is added to could increase in size. And so it follows immediately that what is added is nothing. But if the other thing is no smaller when it is subtracted, and is not increased when it is added, clearly the thing added or subtracted nothing. They speak in riddles. First we added to something. For no steps when added, nothing that's added could increase in size. So it follows immediately that what is added is nothing rather than nothing is smaller. But if the thing is no smaller when it's subtracted, whatever. Yeah. I mean, some things I say just seem kind of basic. If it is, each thing must have some size and thickness, and part of it must be apart from the rest. And the same reasoning holds concerning the part that is in front, for that too will have size, and part of it will be in front. Now to say this once is the same thing as to keep saying it forever. For no such part of it will be the last or unrelated to another. Therefore, if there are many things, they must both be small and large, so small as to not have size, but so large as to be infinite. So I suppose just finding contradictions among the theories that there are many different things. If there are many, they must be just as many as they are, neither more nor less. But if there are as many things as they are, they must be limited. If there are many things, the things that are unlimited, since between those things that there are always others, and still others between those. Therefore, the things that are unlimited. Yeah, I mean, he makes an argument. There are four of Zeno's arguments about motion that present difficulties for those who try to solve them. First is the argument that says there is no motion, because that which is moving must reach the midpoint before the end. It is always necessary to traverse half the distance, but these are infinite, and it is possible to get through things that are infinite. He's really focused on dividing everything down into its small bits, into bits. It's a philosophical theory that everything is at least three. But, there's logic there. The second argument is one called the Achilles. This is the effect that the slowest as it runs will never be caught by the quickest. For the pursuer must first reach the point from which the pursuit departed, so that the slower must always be some distance in front. This is the same argument as the dichotomy. There's a little subnote. Dichotomy is Aristotle's name for Zeno's first argument, but it differs in not dividing the given magnitude in half. So you can never catch anything because there's infinite numbers of infinitely small spaces. But that doesn't make any sense because infinity times the smallest space, which is infinitely small, is still nothing. Next excerpt. For this reason, Zeno's argument falsely assumes that it is impossible to traverse or come into contact with an infinite number of things individually in a finite time. For both length and time, and generally everything that is continuous, are called infinite in their two ways: infinite in division and infinite in respect to their extremities. Now it is impossible to come into contact with things infinite in quantity in a finite time, but it is possible to do so with things that are infinite in division. For time itself, too, is infinite in this way, and so it follows that it traverses the infinite in an infinite time, and not a finite time, and comes into contact with an infinite things in infinite, not finite times. The solution is sufficient to use against the person who raised the question, for he asked whether it is possible to traverse or count infinite things in a finite time, but insufficient for the facts of the matter and the truth. Zeno makes a mistake in reasoning, for if, he says, everything is always at rest when it occupies a space equal to itself, and what is moving is always at a now, the moving arrow is motionless. I suppose that's his point. The third argument is the one just stated, that the arrow is stopped while it is moving. This follows from assuming that time is composed of nows. If this is not conceded, the deduction will not go through. There is no present, because it's an infinitely small amount of time, therefore cannot exist. We're only just experiencing the past very rapidly. That's just me, that's not the reading. 11. Excerpt 11. The fourth argument is about equal bodies moving in a stadium alongside equal bodies in the opposite direction, the one group moving from the end of the stadium, the other from the middle, at equal speeds. He claims in this argument that it follows that half the time is equal to the double. The mistake is in thinking that an equal magnitude moving with equal speed takes an equal time in passing something as it does in passing something at rest. But this is false. Let A's represent the equal stationary bodies, and B's the bodies beginning from the middle, equal in number and size to the A's, and C's the bodies beginning from the end, equal in number and size to those, and having the same speed as the B's. It follows that the first B is at the end at the same time as the first C, A, the equal stationary bodies. Let A's represent the equal stationary bodies, B's the bodies beginning from the middle, equal in number and size to the A's, and C's the bodies beginning from the end, equal in number and size to these, and having the same speed as the B's. Follow that the first B is at the end at the same time as the first C, as the B's and C's move alongside one another, and the first C has completed the process of coming alongside all the B's, but the first B has completed the process of coming alongside half the A's, and so the time is half, for each of them is alongside each thing for an equal time, followed simultaneously that the first B has moved alongside all the C's. For the first C and first B will be at opposite ends simultaneously, because both have been alongside the A's for an equal amount of time. I'm not gonna lie, that went way. I need a visual demonstration of this. I could probably look that up actually. Maybe I'll do that after this video. If I was good at editing, I'd put a visual demonstration in this video, but I'm not. Oh, we're almost done with the reading. There's a translator's note. This argument is reported variously. What follows is the gist of the argument. If place exists, where is it? For everything that exists is in a place. Therefore, if place exists, then place is in a place. This goes on to infinity. Therefore, place does not exist. Love that argument. Zeno, tell me, Protagoras, does a single millet seed make a noise when it falls? Or 1/10,000th of a millet seed? Protagoras, no. Zeno, does a bushel of millet seeds make a noise when it falls, or doesn't it? Protagoras, it does. Zeno, but isn't there a ratio between a bushel of millet seeds and one millet seed, or 1/10,000th of a millet seed? Yes, there is. Zeno, so won't there be the same ratios of their sounds to one another? For as the things that make the noise are to one another, so are the noises to one another. But since this is so, if the bushel of millet seeds makes a noise, so will a single millet seed, and 1/10,000th of a millet seed. And they do make a noise. Good job, Zeno. We just have human ears. So far, Zeno is the most clear ancient philosopher that I've read. And all of his stuff is, well, at least all that I'm reading, is about this one thing, and most of it is not very logical. But you know, it was impressive for his time, and I'm reading it now, so go him. Response from Aristotle. It does not follow that if a given motive power causes a certain amount of motion, half that power will cause motion either of any particular amount or in any length of time. Otherwise, one man might move a ship if the power of the ship holders is divided into their number and the distance that all of them move it. And that's all the reading. 18-minute video. Okay, wait, I forgot. I gotta get a thumbnail for my video. Got this from Phantasm ASMR. I'll try a few out. I like this one. Pondering. Okay. That's all, guys. Hope you liked it. I'm gonna put it up tonight, and I'm gonna try and put out videos more often. Hopefully I stick to that. Good night, y'all.